Welcome, everybody. It's so nice to see everyone on the call, and thank you so much for giving of your time this morning. We really appreciate it. My name is Schaerer, and I am the marketing officer at Petco, the PET plastic recycling company. Welcome to all of you. We have quite a large audience, so just thank you once again. Before we kick off, here are some ground rules for this morning's proceedings. You have all been muted by default, and your cameras have been disengaged. Lastly, we know that 80% of virtual meeting attendees regard flawless audio as a key requirement for holding successful meetings. While we have tested everything to ensure smooth transitions, gremlins are often known to creep in from time to time, and we ask for your patience and grace should this happen. Now let's have a look at the agenda for today. So we have a jam-packed agenda for this morning, and I will be introducing all of the speakers. With that being said, let's get straight to it. First of all, we have Belinda Booker from Petco, who will kick us off with having a look at Petco and the waste picker support and buyback center support that we do as an organization. We will then be hearing from Angela Schaerer, who will speak about how to start a recycling program in your neighborhood, and she will be representing the Bordeaux South Residents Association. And last but definitely not least, we will hear from the inspiring Mandla Nkosi, who will tell us a little bit about his buyback center and his journey and what motivates him to keep going and how he has grown his business. So hopefully we can all learn a thing or two from his incredible and inspiring journey. And we will then have a Q&A. So please insert your questions into the Q&A box and we will get to them at the end of the session. And that is all from me. And without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Belinda to take the screen.
Thank you very much, Cara, and thank you all for the opportunity to tell you a little bit about what Petco does with the waste pickers. Historically, Petco has been working quite a lot with the waste pickers, and they play an important role in the recycling sector in South Africa. It's very difficult to quantify the contribution made by the waste pickers, but it's a significant contribution. And the majority of waste pickers in South Africa still operates on the landfill sites, and they very well versed in the different material streams. Unfortunately, majority of them operate without protective clothing, and they are often in danger of being run over by machinery operating on the landfill sites. So it's not the ideal situation where we want them to be. The waste picker guidelines was written. It was commissioned by Department of Environmental Affairs, and Professor Melanie Sampson, she led that, and with assistance of industry, government, business, and the waste pickers, they were written and they now being implemented. And Petco is working closely with municipalities to also assist them with the implementation of the guidelines. We provide equipment to increase the efficiency. We also feel training and mentorship of collectors as critical in improving their working conditions and assisting them to grow and sustain their businesses. And we do accredited training like numeracy and calculation. We've done COVID-related safety, budgeting, conflict management, time management, and business skills. So there are basically two large waste picker groups that we've worked with, and the one is SAUPA, the South African Waste Pickers Association. They were a group of 22 people who were working on a landfill site in Sasolburg in Gauteng, and we thought we'll do a pilot with them back in 2011. And then Petco's been working very, very closely with them since 2013. We've been driving the establishment of a separation at source project at the Valpark. We've been doing the mentoring, but the partners were the whole packaging industry, government from all tiers, the municipality, the district, the province, and national departments. And we've established them then at a site in Sasolburg where they underwent training. Equipment was sponsored by all the different stakeholders, and they then started implementing a separation at source project in the Valpark area, servicing 3,000 households. So we launched this project back in 2014, and we did shopping center activations, we did pamphlets, we did Facebook, all different kind of things to get it out there to the households. And then the households would come to the site, they would sign out a bin, and it was voluntary, and each bin had a serial number and it will be allocated to a specific address. Now they are still servicing the households in Vaalpark, and on this voluntary basis, about 98% of the householders are currently participating in this. They have also expanded into commercial businesses where they do separation at source, and they're also assisting other waste picker groups to register as cooperatives. The other group that we're working very closely with is Arrow. They are in more Johannesburg, Gauteng based, even though they are now expanding nationally. There's about 6,000 waste pickers on the streets of Johannesburg, going from house to house collecting recyclables. And the CSIR has actually shown that close to 90,000 South Africans work as informal recyclers, collecting about 90% of the recyclables that's collected in South Africa. And South Africa is ranked the third behind countries such as Sweden on its recycling rates. So we have very impressive recycling rates in South Africa, and they're almost entirely due to the work that's being performed by these waste pickers in our cities. Now, Arrow, they have also established themselves. They're assisting other waste pickers to get registered now on the national registration system. They do talks and workshops at schools, creches, university classrooms, and they participate in community events. They are also doing separation at source at some schools and at some closed boom areas as well. And Petco has supported them. Petco and our partner, shareholder Safripol, have supported them with about 100 bins that they hand out to households with a scale with 100,000 plastic bags and some bags, separation at source bags, for them to do their separation at source. And also we've conducted a baseline study to find out a little bit more detail on the waste pickers and their situations. Now, there are numerous waste pickers that starts off as a waste picker and then they advance into their own businesses, and we have quite a few of them that we have assisted, and one of them is Pupela in Mpumalanga. She was also a waste picker. She's gone eventually onto her own site, and she started, the municipality obviously provided the site with her, our partner Safripol and us, supported her with equipment, with training, and she's currently, she's now employing 11 permanent people. She's buying from 20 waste pickers, working in Ermelo, and she's increased the collections to about 15 tons of PET alone, but she does all the different materials. It just also shows how the waste pickers with support can grow into formal businesses. We have also supported the waste pickers during COVID, and we have supported them with bulk bags, with face shields, masks, sanitizers, also with our Recycler Extra Pet. We provided them with blankets, and then we've also supported them with food vouchers. The packaging industry, Petco, and our recyclers, collectively, we collected almost R1 million, which we then distributed food vouchers to these waste pickers nationally around the country. So now with the new EPR law, it requires industry to pay the waste pickers a fee for their services for collecting the recyclables. And we can only pay them if they are registered on a system and we can verify the volumes of collections that they've done. So we launched the BankU app, which we call Project Up, where we register the buyback centers on this app. They then in turn register all their customers or the waste pickers, so we can track the volumes that the waste pickers sell to them, and then we can pay the waste picker. So the waste picker then will be paid all the different materials, the volumes that they've traded, they'll get paid on that. So the benefits to the waste picker and to the reclaimer, to date, the reclaimers, they've had no financial record. So the system allows them to draw statements on sales that they've done and income earned since they've registered on the app, and they can start building an economic history of all transactions captured on the platform, which in turn also assists them to gain access to more competitive financial services over time. And it also gives them opportunity to then earn the top up from industry on the service. And we hope long term it will be a cashless payment for the waste pickers, because currently in Johannesburg there's a lot of intimidation from groups of thugs that actually demand weekly payments from these waste pickers. So if they don't have cash, maybe they'll be less open to exploitation. For the buyback center, there's also a lot of benefits. It's very easy implementation for the buyback centers, and it eliminates also the paper. We find a lot of buyback centers still recording in little books. So this eliminates all that manual spending time on books. They have real visibility of purchases across each site if they have more than one site. And they are the owner of the business that operates, for instance, 5 buyback centers. They have access at all time, anytime, what is happening at each site, telling them how many people have sold, the volumes of the material that was sold there. It also enables the buyback center then to have a cashless system, because buyback centers pay thousands of rands to secure their cash, to transport the cash, and they get robbed at their sites because they're paying the waste pickers in cash. Waste management and recycling is a shared opportunity, and partnerships are very, very key. So research has actually shown that the provision of bags by Petco made a significant difference. 66% of reclaimers who participated in the pre-pilot said that by providing the households with plastic bags for recyclables from Petco increased the number of agreements that they had with the residents. The residents were more willing to put out, because they seemed more formal, the residents were more willing to then work with them. And we honestly need all the residents to participate in a recycling program if there is one in your area. If there isn't one in your area, please put all your recyclables in a clear bag, put it out with your bin, put it on top of your bin, and then the waste picker in your area will collect it. I would recommend that you actually meet the person that's working in your street, find out what their name is, find out the materials that they do collect, and then specifically put out that material for him or her in your clear plastic bag on your bin day, and then they will come and collect that, and then you will contribute towards assisting a person to sustain himself and his family, and you will also assist in keeping our environment clean. And thank you very much. I didn't think I could do that in 5 minutes.
You did so well.
Thank
As
you,
always.
Carla.
Thank you so much, Belinda.
Thanks so much. Okay, ciao.
Yeah, thank you. On to Angela.
Thank you, Cara and Belinda. My apologies in advance, everybody. I've got the bug going around, so I've got a little bit of a croaky voice, but I'm going to get through it as best I can. So just by way of introduction, my name is Angela Schaerer. I am a resident in Bordeaux South, so my job that I've earned money is not actually anything to do with recycling or reclaimers. I'm just a resident in the suburb, and I ended up getting involved with the reclaimers because I had seen another suburb, Brixton, that had started this partnership with reclaimers, and I'd noticed that we had a lot of people that were living on the river near where I live. And most people were sort of, just trying to figure out ways to get rid of people that were living on the river. And I actually decided to try and find out who they actually were and why they were living on the river. And it turned out, to cut a very long story short, but it turned out that actually they were reclaimers. And they were living on the river because they needed to wake up early to be able to get the recycling materials before pick-it-up trucks came. So with that, after a lot of discussions with the Residents Association, we ended up deciding to start a partnership in our suburb with the Residents Association and Arrow, who had been working in Brixton, which is where I'd originally seen this partnership working, to actually try and get a recycling program underway in Bordeaux. So it was partly recycling and the environment, but it was also about actually acknowledging people that are part of our community. So I got in touch with Arrow, and Belinda's actually mentioned some of these stats before, but when I first got involved, I couldn't believe, I think, information that just isn't generally available or wasn't generally available to the public, was that the reclaimers are actually doing the bulk of the recycling work in South Africa. Belinda mentioned some of these. They save City Council 750 million rand annually by diverting recycling away from landfills. Reclaimers are responsible for 90% of the recycling. I think over the last few years, through COVID and because of a whole lot of different reasons, there's been a lot of media engagement and stories about reclaimers and the role that they actually play. And we're starting to really see a shift in perception of the role of reclaimers. And I think one of the things that has happened because of that is the 50 Rand City Council recycling fee was withdrawn, which we were nearly all charged, but actually weren't really going to get a service for. So Arrow, as Belinda also mentioned, is an organization that looks after the well-being of reclaimers and organizes reclaimers. So they were a key partner for us, along with Petco, in getting our recycling program underway. So in Bordeaux, we initiated the program, like I mentioned in the beginning, for both recycling purposes and the environment, but also for social inclusion, because I felt it was important, and other people also felt it was important, that we actually acknowledge the people that are part of our community that have really been ignored, or even worse, and, you know, actually looked down upon. So we really kicked this program off in 2019 with a little bit of planning before that, and it's now been operating very successfully and smoothly for over 4 years. So we've got a partnership with the Bordeaux South Residents Association. So I'm really just a resident. I'm not actually part of BSRA, so I just work with them, and African Reclaimers Organization and Petco. We've now got approximately, it might actually be more now, 60% of our households in Bordeaux that are recycling, and we keep encouraging more to come on board. So we've got a bit of a change in people coming and going. So every time somebody new comes, I try and have a conversation with them and get them on board. We actually also discovered that reclaimers are collecting about 50 tons of recyclable materials in Bordeaux annually. And we actually did a calculation the other day. So I think it's around about 3,500 Rand a week of materials, or the value of the materials, coming from Bordeaux. And there are about 15 to 20 people in that chain. So that includes people that are the reclaimers on the ground, people at Arrow, people in the sorting houses. And ultimately that works out to around about 175 Rand that each family gets from what is effectively our rubbish in Bordeaux that is helping a family. So I think that's also just something to think about. So how does our program work in Bordeaux? It's a little bit different to what it might be or could be in other suburbs, but I'll share what we do and then some ideas for what other suburbs can do. So the key thing is to separate recycling from general waste, and as Belinda mentioned, into clear bags or into bins. So Petco and Belinda also mentioned Safripol very kindly assisted us in the beginning of our program. You can see in that first picture there, and gave our residents some bins and also clear bags. So you don't have to have a bin. We also use clear bags. And exactly as Belinda said, that really just kick-started the program. People got a bag, and then they really had to start thinking about, what do we do with this bag? What do we put into the bag? And the essence of it is to just separate recycling from the general waste, food, organic waste, and put it into a separate bag. We put our recycling out early on a Tuesday morning. Pick It Up actually comes on a Wednesday. After we sort of tested a few different models, we decided that having it the day before Pick It Up was better, so that the reclaimers and Pick It Up, there wasn't sort of any confusion about who was collecting what. And so the reclaimers that work in Bordeaux come on a Tuesday morning, and they can work through all of the materials in the bag and take what they would like, that they gather and that they sell. And like Belinda also said, reclaimers don't collect all material. So some might collect cardboard, some might collect tin, plastic, etc., etc. So different reclaimers collect different things. So you might have a few different people coming to look for items from the bag. Then what we've got with Arrow is a partnership where they've actually got a truck, and what the local reclaimers don't take from the sorting in the bags, the Arrow and their truck come along and they actually collect the remainder of that material. So in fact, there is no recycling that is not left unattended and still goes into a landfill. So that's an additional component to our partnership that maybe not every suburb will be able to do, but that's what happens in Bordeaux. So some of the things that we do within our suburb to make sure that this is effective is communication. And I think this is key. So we've got a WhatsApp group Initially, in the beginning of the program, I would share a weekly update, just reminding people to put their stuff out, reminding people what they could put in the bags, all of that sort of thing. Arrow produced that brochure that you see on the right-hand side around what materials are in fact recyclable. So we shared that on the WhatsApp group. As time has gone on, over the 4 years, I've not had to do that much communication. In the beginning, I did while we got things cracking. But now, really, I only do it maybe once a month, just as a reminder for new residents, that sort of thing. And if there's any, this particular one was just saying, even though there's a public holiday, the recycling will still take place. So, but initially, communication is really critical. The second is community engagement. And I think this was really key. Because there was quite a lot of distrust initially from the reclaimers. I think reclaimers are so used to being treated badly, hooted up by cars, looked at suspiciously by, residents because maybe they're thieves. So we actually had to do a lot of work to build trust with reclaimers and make sure that they felt welcome in Bordeaux South. So we did, this was particularly during COVID, you can see all the masks, but we did tea stations that it was a particularly hard time for reclaimers because there wasn't necessarily, collections were banned during lockdown. So we did what we could as a community to actually help the reclaimers. We also had sort of park events and the reclaimers would come, Arrow came along to represent reclaimers, handed out, you can see all the plastic bags, and just spoke about what reclaimers actually do in the recycling process. Belinda also mentioned this, school awareness sessions. This was absolutely, these were wonderful. And Arrow do a wonderful job of the school session. So we've got a little school in our suburb. We got them all together. You can see everybody got trolley rides. And I have to say the trolley rides is probably one of the best ways to break down that sort of initial kind of, trying to figure each other out is a trolley ride. So the teachers had trolley rides, the kids had trolley rides. And what was wonderful about this is that the children went home and told their parents about what the reclaimers do and how they should be recycling at home. So I think it was a really powerful way to actually get a message out through the children to the adults and get recycling started in homes. It's not been without its challenges, but nothing that we haven't managed to overcome, especially over time. So reclaimers are often informal or transient community for all sorts of reasons. And so it does mean that we've got to keep re-engaging, but it's really, it's exactly, again, sorry to keep referencing you, Belinda, but exactly what Belinda said. It's just about going outside and greeting the person that is collecting your recycling, learning a little bit about one another, what do they collect, and building that trust. It really doesn't, have to take a whole lot of work. There are sometimes new reclaimers that arrive in an area and don't follow processes. So, in our partnership, as we were establishing it, we made sure that everybody understood that we need to keep things tidy when reclaimers are sorting through bins to make sure that everything is back in the bag and there's not a mess going on. So it does require ongoing involvement. But what we also found is that the reclaimers would talk to one another. So they know exactly which streets they're working on. And reclaimers would tell one another, like, this is how it works here. Make sure you keep it tidy, and then everybody's going to be happy. So I think they played a strong role in sharing that message themselves. So a few kind of tips to just get started. If you are a suburb, and I see a lot of people on here are actually sort of recycling or other organizations, so I've got a couple of thoughts that I haven't included on the slide, but I think it's key to have a community champion, which was me. I'm just a person. I knew nothing about recycling, and I knew nothing about reclaimers. I just felt strongly that we should be doing something about it. So it doesn't need somebody that's an expert. I think just somebody that cares enough to get up and do something. I encourage any suburbs to engage with Arrow. Arrow may not be able to send the truck to every single suburb. They might be able to, but they're definitely worth engaging with for advice and to get some, just guidance on how it could work well in your suburb. Acknowledge the reclaimers, and I've spoken about this. I think it's just, this is a core part of what was important for us, is to make the reclaimers feel that they were actually part of our community and building that relationship and trust. Then agree on the procedures, and by that I mean that, keeping things tidy. This it's a Tuesday morning that things are going to be out, etc., etc. It was really important to include security companies. We've got a couple that work in the area. I think a lot of suburbs do. Initially, they had been instructed to remove reclaimers, and we then explained that that's not how we operate here. We are actually working with reclaimers, and I think they will now tell you that, in fact, reclaimers are the eyes on the ground. So they know what's going on more than, a lot of other people do. So they can see if there's something dodgy going on. And in fact, they become, really contributing members, because they're actually able to tell security companies or one of us if there's something we should be aware of. Ongoing communication with residents through WhatsApp channels or whatever suburbs have got, newsletters, emails, to keep just the momentum going, particularly in the beginning, but also on an ongoing basis as new residents arrive. Community engagement, like I said, all the park days, those things really help to embed the change and get people involved and really start seeing and meeting reclaimers. And then I think the last two is really for all of us as people to just think about what we're doing. So to reduce, reuse, or recycle. And I think last but not least, well, in fact, definitely not least, the most important is to separate it all. So I think for most suburbs, the bare minimum that everybody should be doing is separating recycling into a clear bag, putting it on top of the pick it up bag so that the reclaimers don't need to dig through all the organic waste and all of the kind of filthy stuff, which is really why a lot of reclaimers wear balaclavas, because of the terrible smell, and make it easier for reclaimers. So I think that is just one of the most basic things that absolutely everybody should be doing to make this process easier. As I mentioned, I saw a lot of you are from sort of organizations. It really helped us as residents, as a suburb, to work with people like Petco and Arrow. And so I'd encourage organizations in whichever areas you're working with, maybe get in touch with the Residents Association so that you can offer your support to get recycling programs underway, working with the reclaimers in that area. So those are just that's my last slide, just with contact details. That's the reclaimers' contact details on Facebook and Instagram. And I'm always happy to have a chat with anybody that would like to find out more. So that is my email address. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Angela. I'm going to now hand over to Mandla.
Good morning, South Africa. Goeiemôre, molweni, dumelani. Sanbonani, Absheni. My name is Mandla Nkosi. I thank you very much for this opportunity to present my story. I'll make it short. I am the company director from Men Recycling, which is a sister company to Mandla Nkosi Foundation. This is where we started Mandla Nkosi. I'm working in partnership with my wife. This is where we started, not actually where we started, we improved to this building where you see me with a nice smile there. We were working from a bush when we met with Petco. Petco found us working in a bush next to my house, next to Carnival City, with just a number of waste pickers. I was actually towing a trolley because I lost my job around 1996. So around 1999, I realized that there were some guys that were actually living and surviving through waste picking. So I entered there and I managed to actually save some money and then grow to what we are today. When we met with Petco, we were working from the bush, and Petco assisted us, with a lot of stuff that we couldn't be here if they were not involved in our lives, especially in growing up. We work together with my family. It's a family business that I run concurrently with my wife, and we've got two sites. We started in Boksburg, and then we realized the site in Boksburg, because of competition, it's getting lesser and lesser material. We decided to look back home where we originally come from, the Eastern Cape. On the left of the screen, you can see that is my site that is based in Idutjwa, just 500 meters from the police station, and you're on your way to Willow Bay. So on the right-hand side is the site that we have in Boksburg. But our main focus currently is in the Eastern Cape, where we find it a bit more challenging to run the business, because many people have failed previously who tried to set up these initiatives because of there is no local market where you can collect and then sell your stuff. So most of our stuff, as we collect there, we normally sell it to Joburg. We have to ship it, and the shipping costs are actually a huge challenge. This is us doing the collection in the rural areas. You can imagine in the rural areas, there's plenty material that has been lying there for decades. As you can see, we've got our small bucket there with the scale that we got from Petco on top of it, and we've got a trailer that we were also supported by Petco. We are collecting the huge volumes of plastic, but the challenge is, like I said, the roads, there is no proper road infrastructure. So it's the old gravel road that you travel with on, and you will find that when it's raining, like it's been raining for almost a week now, there is no way that you can go out there, and then you have to wait until 2-3 days, then it dries up, then you can start going and traveling those kilometers. Plus minus per day, you will travel over 200 kilometers to just get this load, to come back with that load. You'll travel over 200 kilometers to get the trailer full of that. But in one day, you'll get it on daily basis, you'll get that material. That's my team in the Eastern Cape. You can see next, some of them there next to the trailer from the left picture. And we've got 12 employees that are permanently on site, though we do have some temporal employees that are 5 of them that we now and again kind of employ. But what we've done there, we have capacitated over 150 or educated 150 residents from the rural areas, especially along the Wild Coast, where a lot of material lies, because the municipality is struggling to service the rural areas due to the road infrastructure, and the nature of the rural areas are so scattered. They are not organized such that it's easy for the municipal truck to actually provide service there. So that's where we take advantage of, because of the challenges that the waste is being banned and the waste is being dumped illegally. So we are trying to filter all the waste that it mustn't get along the coast, so that it damages our wildlife. So we are trying our level best there to collect. Like I said, we started from zero, but look at us today. We are being able to actually, on a monthly basis, to load a 34-ton truck of PET or even K4, which is the box. There you can see there's a baling machine that was also provided by Petco. That's what we're talking about here. We were very small in Gauteng, but taking the risk and the advantage with the support that we got from Petco, this is where we managed to be where we are today, especially in the Eastern Cape. We are really growing, and this is possible for anybody just to go in there. It doesn't need any capital. This is the business that you can start without anything. Just like us, we started with the trolley, pulling a trolley together with my wife. There, I can show you, that's my wife there assisting me. She's very good with figures and books. I'm not good with that section. I would actually encourage everybody who wants to start with your family and form a cooperative with your family. That's my son there. He's 15 years old. He's quite taller than me, but he's really into the business. And I know that even at school, they're having challenges with him, challenging this and that in terms of waste. But it's a very good thing that I've already planted a seed inside the young one. I know that even if I'm not able, he will be able to run with the business. What I want to highlight, Petco, is that in this business, you definitely need to go together with your community. If you leave your community behind, you won't get anywhere. You really need to spend a lot of time. This is what we're doing in terms of making the awareness, community awareness. We spend a lot of time sitting down with the communities and telling them, teaching them, especially in the rural areas. As I can tell you that in some areas, for the past 100 years, waste has never been picked. The people, it's known, the people, they burn the waste. So in the rural areas, there's a huge potential there and huge volumes, because over the 100 years, you'll find lots of material that has been, hidden by the mud along the road, especially along the rivers that flows into the ocean. So it is very important and critical to spend quality time with the communities. That's why we decided to have a sister company that will assist men recycling. As men recycling collects, MNF, which is Mandla Nkosi Foundation, goes it first within those communities and educate the communities, make them aware of the consequences failure to recycle. So we make them aware, and most of them, they are very deep in poverty. They are very impoverished communities. They are struggling to survive there. So we show them how to make a living out of waste. So they're really into it. And we also, as Men Recycling, in partnership with the Mandla Nkosi Foundation, we encourage those people that we educate that they must have a garden. Each and every house must have a garden. At some point, we were able to plant these seedlings and then give them those small plants. I don't know what you call it, but those fresh ones, those small ones that they can transplant. The transplants, we used to have that, and we due to this fact that we started a new site in the Eastern Cape, it kept us so busy, but we are planning to do it before the end of this year, to start again and provide families with those plantations so that they can start, especially the people that are in the recycling space that we educate. We also, involved with a number of papers and books that we get, and from our partners, from the communities, they bring a lot of books. We used to collect a lot of books from SPCA, Boxback, and Benoni. So most of these books are still in good condition. So these are the books that we take to, we set up community libraries where kids, after school, they can go and do some research and spend time with books, educate them, to motivate the kids, to keep them busy. And I'm so glad that we've started this evening in the Eastern Cape, at Eoben in Ward 20, at the local chief Patisile is our local chief there. It is Rondavel there. We put a library in the Rondavel Mud House. Yeah, so we're doing that as well. We do have huge challenges, especially that we are now known, especially in the rural areas, but the nature of it makes it very difficult to collect. We do need capacity in terms of collecting capacity. We got calls, WhatsApp messages calling us to collect, but we are struggling to reach out there. We still need assistance there, with an extra baling machine that we need, as well as transportation there to assist us. We are also targeting the holiday resorts along the Wild Coast. They are also playing a huge role in the illegal dumping of waste and the burning of waste, due to the fact that they are too far from the landfill sites. They are forced, and the cost of taking their waste to the landfill site is very high. So they are forced by circumstances, to find a way to hide their waste, and they are right by the coast, and that's the biggest concern that we have, and they are actually our target. We want to provide proper service to collect their waste, because I would say 90% of their waste is recyclable. All the tourists that you see flocking down to the Wild Coast resorts, and each and every year they go down fully packed with lots of groceries and beverages that they want to spend there, but they leave that waste there. They don't come back with it. So our target is to make sure we capture that. I think we've got close to 20 of these. We've measured from over 20 of these holiday resorts, from East London to Coffee Bay, further up to Port St. John's. We have already targeted. There are more than 20 of these places. So we need a specialized vehicle that will deal with them and the people along the Wild Coast that are living along the Wild Coast. Looking at doing what we're doing, we are indeed playing a huge role in the healthy, environment to actually assist, to the communities or every human to breathe fresh air, to get clean air and the clean water, because all the contaminated air and from the burning of these plastics actually makes us sick. That's why when I do my workshops with the communities, I tell them that today you'll find a 30-year-old, a 20-year-old carrying some tablets in his pocket. Why is it? It's because of the dirty and contaminated air that we breathe and the dirty water. We also provide assistance and training on to how to deal with this stuff that you use for the baby. I don't know what the disposable nappies are a huge challenge, but we try and motivate and teach them that they need to dig a small hole where they can bury that stuff in their gardens, and for them not to contaminate the water because they dump all over. And there are job opportunities indeed out of this exercise, and a number of what you call economies are actually unlocked due to the fact that we are doing the waste, especially the plastic. The Eastern Cape is in trouble, and especially the Wild Coast is in trouble. Our marine life is in trouble of the plastic. They say when they estimate the load of plastic that goes into the marine life, they say each and every minute it's like 4 of these municipal trucks tipping plastic into the ocean. Each and every minute, the plastic that flows into. So it's a serious concern. It's one in our heart. And we thank you very much, Petco, for assisting us and boosting us with your support and with all the necessary resources. In conclusion, I would like to say, Nkosi kakhulu, thank you very much for this opportunity. If you need to contact me, that's my address in the Eastern Cape in Itujwa. But as you know, Itujwa consists, Bashe, within the Bashe municipality, consists of 3 towns where I mainly operate. It's in Itujwa, Willowvale, and Elliotdale. But we also go further down to Butterworth, and our intention is to extend further, more than almost 300 kilometers from where we are. Thank you very much for having me and this opportunity. Nkosi kakhulu. Thanks, Kara.
Thank you so much, Mandla. And just quickly before we start on the Q&A, I just wanted to thank our speakers so much. Thank you to Belinda, Angela, and Mandla for your time and for your efforts that you put into your slides and giving up your time to share your inspiring stories. It's really just so appreciated, and I can already see, the comments in the chat and how you've inspired people and started to get people's brains thinking about ways that they can do things. It's just, this is what this community is all about. So we're just going to jump into a Q&A. And I see there were 2 hands raised. And if anybody would like to put any questions into the chat, I will be moderating a Q&A now. Otherwise, I'd be happy to unmute some people that have raised hands if they'd like to ask questions to anyone on the panel.
Good morning. My name is Terence Masiza. I'm from the company called Post Waste. I'm new in the recycling and waste environment, and I would like assistance with from Petco. I need to expand, because what we've been doing here in West Rand, we've been cleaning all the illegal dumping sites, creating them into creative parks, and the waste that we're cleaning from the dumping site, we are recycling that waste so that we can make extra money for us. And there's 25 people So we need assistance regarding the balers, because where we're selling, I don't think we're making a lot of money, but the initial objective is to clean the environment, whilst the volunteers are getting something, because we don't get anything from anyone, even the councillors, the community leaders. They say the municipality it doesn't have funds, as exhausted funds. So it's discouraging to the staff. So I don't know if Petco can assist, or how can it assist, or which road must I take to get assistance? Thank you.
So we have some information. We will put the links into the chat. We have an email address, which is supportservices@petco.co.za, which Jody will place there for everyone to see. You can then send an email to Pilani, and he will send you the application form to apply for training and equipment. Belinda, do you want to elaborate any more?
Yeah, thank you very much, Cara. That would be great. And well done, Terence, on the great work that you're doing on a voluntary basis. I'm very impressed with the work that you're doing, because cleaning up illegal dumping, and it's not your responsibility, but you're still doing it. So well done. And yeah, please send an email to support services, and then we will see how we can support you on that.
Perfect. So there's been a few requests about the presentation. We will send a presentation link to YouTube to everyone that is on this call. Then Clayton has said, I would like to know about the registration process, and are there Petco offices nationwide? Clayton, we have one office in Cape Town and one office in Johannesburg, but we are a national program. So all of the things that we do are all over the country. Then there's another question from Lisa. How do we find out if there are registered vendors, etc., in our area? Lone Hill, Joburg. We, on our website, have a link to buyback centers and drop-off sites. And Jody, would you mind just popping that in the chat also, so that people can find buyback centers and drop-off sites, please? And then I see that there's a question from Monica. Belinda, are you answering that question?
Yeah, I'm busy.
You're typing. So
Yeah.
Monica said, I've just started collecting bottles, but I don't know where to buy the recycling bags and to sell my bottles. Can Petco assist? So Belinda will type that answer, and Jody again will just will include the link to the drop-off sites in the chat.
Hi, good day. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we
Yes,
can. Thanks, Anwar. Carry on.
I'm the CEO of Bibo and Sons Recycler here in Robertson. It's a Western Cape here. I would like to ask, we are busy with getting some resources. Yeah, we also received a fund grant to start this business. We had meetings with the municipality. And my question is, the municipality here in the Langeberg area got a bylaw that states that nobody is allowed to pick up trash or recycled products. What support can Petco give us in that situation?
Yeah, what I would like you to do is to please connect me to the person that in the municipality that you're working with. Send me their contact details, because we will talk to them. They cannot forbid people to pick up recyclables. We would like to assist you and maybe assist them with you to start some recycling program in that area.
Perfect. Okay. Belinda, can I share your email address on the chat?
Yeah, I'm happy to.
Well,
yeah.
Perfect. That's
okay.
great.
That will be perfect, because we are struggling here with the local municipality. We've got everything in hand. We did receive funding, but they don't want us to do this recycle work. We also want to expand to the buybacks, but they don't allow us here because of the bylaws.
Okay. So Anwar, I think Belinda will try and help you. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, it is marvelous. From Elim, Makado Municipality at Bompo. I followed you for so long, and we decided to start the Women in Waste project, where now we are busy. We've already sent the letter to the school circuit where they can permit us to collect trash, and we are busy now. Even our headman has allowed us to give us a space where we can work with. So, guys, as you have stated, we want your help for registration, because most of our women that are unemployed, and we've got 39 women who are already agreed to work with us collecting waste. They were at Makado municipality, so we'll need your help. Thank you.
I just wanted to say marvelous, and to everybody else, Belinda's email and the support services email address is in the chat, so you can just email them if you are looking for support. I've also just added that into the chat. That's the number for the Joburg office, 011-615-8875. So that
Perfect.
is in the chat.
Okay,
Cool.
Muzi, over to you. Thank you.
Yes, how are you guys? My question is this. I want to start a sorting and collection site, but I want to work with the municipality. So I want to send a proposal to start at their dumping site. And I want to know, who can I then sell the waste to? Do you guys have a list of companies maybe who deal with plastic, paper?
Where's your municipality?
Mbombela.
Oh,
Local municipality.
Yeah, so I think same reply. Send email to Petco, and we will connect you to people in your areas.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Okay, we'll do.
Perfect. Cool. So Muzi, your question's been answered. Lisa, the buyback centers are in the chat. And I think with 2 minutes to go, if there's anyone else that has a question, I think we've got time for one more question, and then I'm going to close the session to respect everybody's time.
There we go. Over to you. Thanks, Terence.
In assistance with the price list and the types of waste collections, can I send the email, then you'll forward the types of materials, because we collected everything, but when we went to sell, the buyers, they only picked the little things, so we just left with a whole bunch of rubble. So we just want to know, can't we be assisted with the price list, and who's collecting, for example, plastic, who's collecting cans, who's collecting paper, and so on. Thank you.
So Terence, it's a little bit tricky for us as Petco. We encourage people to collect everything, but unfortunately you're going to have to check in with the buyback center and collect what they buy. We aren't able to provide price lists because the prices of recyclables is based on demand and supply, so it changes all the time. And we don't get involved with any pricing of materials, etc. So unfortunately, you're just going to have to check in with the buyback centers near you to find out what they are willing to buy. I think we have time for one more.
Okay, Ishmael.
Hi, everyone. I have a quick question before we close off. Thank you for this session. The question is, I am based in Bizana, which is in the Eastern Cape. It's because I always try to get someone to buy my material, and I find that I'm always referred to people who are in East London, Duikwa, and so forth, which is extremely far from where I am. And the closest is Durban. It's 200 kilometers. It's close, but now I have that challenge with having access to a buyback center that I can sell my material to. I don't know, how would you advise me with that hardship that I encounter? Thank you.
Ismail, I think same thing. If you just send an email to support services, they'll be able to hopefully link you with someone that's closer to you. We that we help buyback centers, but we unfortunately aren't able to start them. So we'll be able to hopefully link you with the buyback center that is closer to you. So will you just send an email again, or you can call the number put in the chat, and we'll see how we can help.
Thank you.
Again, thank you so much to the speakers. Thank you to the audience for coming. Thank you for your time. Thank you for all the questions and for all the engagement. It's so nice to know that everyone is, interested in recycling and is trying to keep the environment clean and ensure that valuable recyclables are kept out of the environment and made into new and useful products. So I think with that, I'm going to close the session and wishing everybody a lovely day and have a good rest of the week. Bye.